here you can see that we have set the game in the highest possible settings. So DLSS is off and 1440p rendering along with highest graphic setting, and ray tracing is also on. So let's see how fast the loading is. So you can see it takes almost like 10 seconds to load the game, which I think is pretty fast for such a AAA title. So now you can see we are at 1440p settings, and ray tracing is also turned off and DLSS is also turned off. So here you can see once you run the game you get close to 45 or 50 frames per second. So like it's right now at 45 frames per second, but once you turn the recording off, it goes as high as 50 frames per second. So even at the highest possible settings, the game is playable. There's no issue at all in playing the game. But then again, like most people would recommend you to play the game at around 60 frames per second to get the best out of it, which is also possible in this laptop. I'll show you how is it there in this laptop to play at this game at 60 frames per second. So So now you can see we are playing with DLSS on. So there are two options to play with DLSS. So one is at 960p and other is at 720p. Now we are playing the game at 960p in DLSS. So what is happening is that the game is rendering it at 960p, but it is displayed at 1440p. So DLSS basically upscales the image and display it. So you get a pretty significant performance boost via DLSS, and if you observe it very closely, you hardly see much difference in textures and all. So DLSS is like really one of the most brilliant things which Nvidia has recently done. AMD has also come up with their own version of DLSS for Super Frame or Super FX, which is also like really awesome, and like you can see how much performance difference is there. Suddenly from 45 frames per second, we are getting close to 70 frames per second. This makes it awesome.
Must cleanse control points.
So now you can see we are at 1080p with both RTX turned off and DLSS is also turned off. So once we play the game, you see that we'll get a pretty significant performance. So you can see we are getting close to 60 frames per second, 57, 60 frames per second, and all settings are set to high. So now you can see we are at 1440p settings, that is the highest screen settings, and the ray tracing is set to on. We have not turned on DLSS, so this is the maximum possible settings for the game. So you see here we are pretty like close to 40 FPS, and it will drop down to 35-36 frames per second. So but still the game is playable with the highest possible settings, but I won't recommend you playing this game at like this speed because it's a first person shooter. Somewhere close to 60 FPS or above is I think the sweet spot to play this game. This is like playable but not recommended. So now you can see we are at 1440p resolution. The ray tracing is turned on, and we are setting the DLSS to 960p. So basically what it will do is it will render it at 960p and display it at 1440p. So it is basically upscaling the image 1.5 times. So you can see whenever we do this, we turn DLSS on, we get a very significant performance increase. So suddenly from around 45 hardly around 40 FPS, we are at 60 FPS with the ray tracing on. So like that really makes the game properly playable, and the textures and everything is like super smooth, super playable. So like that is the how awesome DLSS is, and I think it is really a must for all modern games with the textures and everything going on to insane levels right now. So now we are at 1440p resolution, and we'll set the DLSS to 720p. So basically what it does, it will upscale the image twice from 720p to 1440p. So there's like it's like rendering the image at a lower resolution than 960p, and the upscaling is a lot, so the AI and everything is a lot. So I think like 960p will be a better place than 720p. Also you can see we are getting close to 70 FPS now from 60 FPS at 960p. So there is some performance gain, but at the lack of textures and image quality. So the best possible settings is 960p, and with ray tracing turned on. So you can see how the game performs at this resolution now.